Welcome, dreamy thinkers, gentle wanderers of the night, and all who are drifting like quiet autumn leaves toward sleep. You've arrived at the Sleepy Biologist, where your mind can float softly through the wonders of life. Tonight's voyage is titled What Your Body Does While You Sleep. Imagine your cells humming like a moonlit orchestra, your organs whispering secrets to one another beneath the darkness, and your brain sweeping the halls of memory with its silent, patient broom. Don't worry, this will be a calm and unhurried journey, a gentle exploration, designed not to stir your wakefulness, but to cradle it. I hope it isn't so fascinating that it keeps your eyes fluttering open all night. If you find comfort here, leave a like, drift down to the comments to tell me where in the world you're listening from tonight, and what time your eyelids began to grow heavy, and subscribe for more quiet biological wanderings. Now, as you settle deeper into your pillows, let me ask you this. While your thoughts dim and your breathing slows, what hidden symphony begins within? Let's drift down through your sleeping cells and listen to the secrets they keep in the silent hours. As the sun sets and the world softens into quiet, something remarkable begins to unfold within the human body. It is a transformation so subtle, so deeply woven into our biology, that we often overlook its power. We call it sleep, but sleep is not the simple act of closing the eyes and drifting into dreams. It is a carefully orchestrated symphony, a silent internal performance where every organ, every cell, and every system plays its part in repair, renewal, and restoration. Imagine your body as a vast city. During the day, the lights are bright, roads are crowded, factories are running, communication lines are buzzing with activity. But at night, as the city rests, something deeper begins to happen. Streetlights dim, machines power down, and in the silence, essential repairs begin. This is what happens inside you every night. Your body does not stop, it shifts. Beneath the stillness of closed eyes and steady breath, a complex network of biological processes begins its night shift. Sleep is often mistaken as passive, yet it is one of the most active and essential states the body can enter. Without it, your brain falters, muscles fail to rebuild, memory fades, emotions become harder to regulate. Over time, even the immune system, the body's defense network, grows weaker. Consider this. If a person is deprived of food, they suffer. But if a person is deprived of sleep, the consequences are swifter and, in some cases, more severe. Sleep is not optional. It is as vital as breathing, as eating, as the beat of the heart. So what truly happens when the body sleeps? It begins with a signal. Deep within the brain, in a region called the hypothalamus, a small but powerful control center, a quiet message is sent out. This message is shaped by the fading light around you, by temperature, and by internal chemical signals. As light decreases, the brain releases a hormone called melatonin, often called the sleep hormone. Melatonin is not a sedative, but a guide. It gently nudges the body toward stillness. It signals that it is time to transition from alertness to rest. Your heart begins to slow. Muscles release their tension. Breathing becomes deep and rhythmic. The body enters a state of calm, but this calm is only the surface. Beneath it, an intricate dance begins. Electrical patterns in the brain begin to change. Brain waves, once quick and sharp during the day, begin to stretch and slow. These patterns can be seen in sleep studies using a tool called an EEG device that records brain activity through the scalp. Scientists have identified different types of brain waves. During deep sleep, the brain moves into what are called delta waves, slow, large waves that reflect deep restorative rest. But the brain is not the only part of the body that transforms. As sleep deepens, the body starts to repair damaged tissues, rebuild muscle fibers, and even regulate the balance of hormones. One such hormone is growth hormone. Despite the name, this substance is important not only in children but in adults. It helps repair tissue, strengthen bones, and regulate metabolism, and it is released most abundantly during deep sleep. This repair is not just physical. Memory, too, is shaped during sleep. What you learn during the day is not simply stored, as is. While you sleep, your brain sifts through these memories, sorting them, reinforcing the most important ones, and discarding those that are no longer needed. It is as if the brain acts as a librarian, filing away the pages of the day. This is especially important for students, learners, and anyone building new skills. Sleep is not a break from learning. It is part of it. Without sleep, learning is fragile. With it, memories become stronger. Now imagine a control room slowly dimming its lights. The flickering monitors fade. One by one, stations go quiet. But as the surface activity slows, hidden mechanisms activate. Technicians arrive to inspect systems. Engineers begin silent repairs. The hum of maintenance takes over. This is the body in sleep. One of the most fascinating things about sleep is how universal it is. Almost every animal on Earth has some form of rest or sleep-like state. From the hummingbird that lowers its body temperature at night, to the elephant that sleeps, standing up for only a few hours a day, nature has designed rest into its very fabric. And yet, despite its importance, sleep remains one of biology's greatest mysteries. We know much about what happens when we sleep, but less about why it must happen the way it does. Even the ancient, world-respected sleep. In many cultures, sleep was seen not only as physical rest, but as a doorway to the spiritual world. Dreams were viewed as messages, as symbols, as ways of understanding the self. While modern science does not view dreams in the same way, it still recognizes sleep as essential for mental and emotional health. In today's fast-paced world, sleep is often undervalued. Artificial light, constant screens, long work hours, they all chip away at the natural rhythms of rest. And yet, the body remembers. The systems still try to carry out their nighttime work. When we ignore this need, when we shorten or disrupt sleep, the consequences ripple through every part of our biology. It is no accident that chronic sleep loss is linked with problems like high blood pressure, weakened immunity, poor concentration, and even changes in appetite and mood. The body needs time to repair, and sleep is that time. So, as night falls, and your breath begins to slow, remember this: sleep is not a pause. It is not the absence of wakefulness. It is a deeply active, deeply intelligent process, one that protects, repairs, and prepares the body for another day. In the sections to come, we will journey deeper into the brain's mysterious rhythms, into the phases of dreaming, into the hidden repair teams working while we rest. We will uncover how the immune system trains at night, how the body keeps time, and what happens when sleep begins to falter. For now, let your mind settle. Let the soft rhythm of understanding guide you. Sleep is beginning, and inside, the silent symphony has already begun. As your eyes close and your body begins to rest, a shift takes place inside your brain. Though the world around you grows still, the brain awakens to a new kind of work. Quiet, intricate, and vital. Sleep is not the brain's posit, is its hidden night shift. Imagine walking into a library after closing hours. The lights are dim, the noise has faded, and yet the librarians are just beginning their most important tasks. Books are being returned to their shelves. Old volumes are reviewed and sorted. Notes are rewritten. Sections are reorganized. This is how your brain works during sleep. Not resting, but restructuring. To understand this nightly transformation, we must first understand the brain's architecture. The brain is made up of billions of nerve cells called neurons. These cells communicate through tiny electrical signals. Every thought, every memory, and every movement relies on these signals flowing in precise patterns. During the day, the brain is in a state of alert processing. It receives information from the eyes, ears, skin, and muscles. It handles decisions, reacts to problems, and constantly updates your awareness of the world. But this constant activity also leads to a buildup of unused information. The brain, like a busy desk, becomes cluttered. At night, that changes. Sleep begins with a shift in brainwave activity. In the early stages, neurons begin to fire in slower, more organized patterns. These patterns can be observed through an EEG tool that records electrical activity across the scalp. During wakefulness, the brain displays fast, irregular waves called beta waves. As you fall asleep, these are replaced by slower alpha and then theta waves. As sleep deepens, the brain moves into a state dominated by delta waves, slow, high-amplitude rhythms associated with deep, restorative sleep. One of the most important features of sleep is that it occurs in repeating cycles. Each cycle lasts about 90 to 110 minutes and includes several stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and a mysterious stage known as REM short for rapid eye movement. Each of these stages serves a specific purpose, especially within the brain. Let us begin with deep sleep. This is when the brain does its most intensive cleanup. Neurons slow their firing. The flow of cerebrospinal fluid, clear liquid that surrounds and cushions the brain, increases. This fluid helps remove waste products from brain cells, including a protein called beta amyloid. This substance, when it builds up over time, has been linked to Alzheimer's disease. During deep sleep, the brain's cleaning system, known as the glymphatic system, becomes highly active. It is as though janitors move in during the night to sweep away debris, leaving the brain fresh for the next day. Now consider the hippocampus. This is a small, curved structure deep in the brain. It plays a key role in forming new memories. During the day, it records new experiences, names, and facts like a temporary notepad. At night, during sleep, the hippocampus replays those experiences and transfers important information to the neocortex, the brain's long-term storage system. This process, known as memory consolidation, helps ensure that learning is preserved. For example, When a student learns a new concept in class perhaps, a biological term, or a mathematical formula, the hippocampus stores it temporarily. But without sleep, that memory may fade. During sleep, especially during deep and REM stages, the brain revisits that information. It strengthens connections between neurons. This is why people often find that they remember things better after a good night's sleep. Research has shown that different types of memory benefit from different stages of sleep. Factual information and vocabulary are strengthened during deep sleep. Skills and creative problem solving are often enhanced during REM. If someone practices playing a musical instrument or solving a puzzle, sleep helps sharpen those skills. It is not just repetition that builds learning, it is the sleeping brain that weaves it into lasting knowledge. The brain also uses sleep to balance emotions. During the day, emotional experiences are stored with powerful brain chemicals, including one called norepinephrine. These chemicals help us react quickly to fear, joy, or anger. But during REM sleep, norepinephrine levels drop. The brain replays emotional memories in a quieter, less reactive state. This helps reduce emotional stress and allows us to process painful or intense experiences more calmly. This is part of why dreams often feel emotional or strange. The brain is reworking feelings and images, blending memory with imagination. Some scientists believe that this dreamlike processing helps us cope with anxiety, fear, and even trauma. It is the brain's way of healing the heart. One of the great puzzles in neuroscience is how the brain decides what to keep and what to let go. We learn thousands of things each day, but we remember only a fraction. During sleep, the brain strengthens the neural pathways that matter and weakens those that do not. This process is called synaptic pruning. Imagine trimming a tree. The brain cuts back small, unused branches so that stronger, more important ones can grow. This pruning helps the brain remain efficient. Without it, the brain would become overloaded with unnecessary connections. Children and adolescents experience more pruning than adults. This may be one reason why they need more sleep. Their brains are still building and refining the circuits that shape personality, learning, and behavior. There is also a deep connection between sleep and creativity. In REM sleep, the brain becomes unusually active. Electrical signals move rapidly. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic and decision-making, relaxes. This allows freer associations between ideas. The brain can link thoughts in unexpected ways. Artists, scientists, and musicians have often reported breakthroughs after a night's rest. Sleep is not just for remembering the past. It helps us imagine the future. Across cultures and histories, sleep has been linked to insight. In ancient Greece, dreams were believed to carry messages from the gods. In more modern times, the chemist August Kekulé described seeing a dream of a snake biting its own tail, leading him to discover the ring structure of the benzene molecule. Sleep is not passive. It is a space where the brain rehearses, invents, and explores. Yet, this delicate night shift can be easily disrupted. Stress, light, noise, caffeine, and irregular schedules can interrupt sleep cycles. When sleep is shallow or broken, the brain cannot perform its essential tasks. Toxins remain, memories weaken, emotions feel heavier. Chronic sleep loss has been linked to mental health conditions. including anxiety, depression, and mood swings. It also affects decision-making, attention, and reaction time. Even a single night of poor sleep can make it harder to concentrate, solve problems, or manage emotions. In children and adolescents, the effects can be even more profound. Sleep supports brain development, emotional regulation, and learning. When schools start too early or devices delay bedtime, the brain misses critical hours of deep and REM sleep. Over time, this can affect academic performance and emotional well-being. But the good news is this sleep is resilient. The brain remembers how to rest. With the right conditions, quiet and regular timing, it returns to its rhythm. Even small improvements in sleep quality can lead to sharper thinking, better memory, and greater emotional balance. So the next time you lie down to sleep, consider the work about to begin. The slow rise and fall of brain waves, the silent removal of waste, the replay of memories, the pruning of unneeded thoughts, the quiet sorting of emotion. The brain, beneath the surface, is hard at work, rebuilding your inner world, organizing the chaos of the day, preparing you not just to wake, but to think, to feel, and to grow. And now, as the brain continues its hidden shift, we move deeper into the realm of dreams and feelings. What happens when the mind begins to create images not bound by the outside world? What are dreams really for? And how do they shape who we are when we wake? Let us drift further into the world of dreams, emotion, and the subconscious mind. Imagine this. Your body lies still, breathing slowly, unaware of the room around you. Yet within your mind, a new world begins to bloom. Scenes unfold, people appear, conversations take place that never happened, time stretches and folds. The laws of physics are softened. This is the domain of dreams. Dreams are among the most mysterious and ancient features of human life. Every culture has tried to understand them. Some have viewed dreams as messages from ancestors. Others saw them as glimpses of the divine. Today, we know dreams are a natural part of sleep, produced by the brain. But their purpose, why they arise, what they mean, and how they shape us remains one of science's great questions. Dreaming occurs most vividly during a stage of sleep called rapid eye movement, or REM. This stage gets its name from the way the eyes move quickly beneath the eyelids. The body, meanwhile, is almost entirely paralyzed. Muscles go limp. Reflexes are quieted. This state is known as REM atonia. It prevents us from physically acting out our dreams. During REM sleep, the brain becomes unusually active. Electrical patterns resemble those seen during wakefulness. But the type of brain activity is different. The limbic system, responsible for emotion, memory, and motivation, becomes highly active. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, part of the brain responsible for logical reasoning, impulse control, and critical thinking, becomes less active. This combination helps explain the quality of dreams. They are often rich in emotion, vivid in imagery, but lacking in logic or continuity. A door might lead to the ocean. A friend might turn into a stranger. Time may jump or reverse. Yet while dreaming, these contradictions rarely feel strange. One of the primary functions of dreaming is believed to be emotional regulation. The brain, during sleep, replays and reprocesses emotional memories. This allows the emotional intensity to soften, while the memory itself is preserved. For example, Someone who experienced a stressful event during the day may revisit aspects of that event in a dream. But in the dream, the brain replays the memory without the full strength of the original emotional response. This helps the brain file the memory in long-term storage, detached from its most intense feelings. This process is called emotional memory consolidation. It is part of the reason why people often wake feeling more at peace after a difficult day. The emotional weight has been redistributed. The brain has, in a sense, rehearsed how to hold the memory without being overwhelmed by it. Interestingly, the brain does not only process fear and sadness, joy, excitement, frustration, embarrassment. These too are woven into the fabric of dreams. The brain uses dreams to explore a full spectrum of emotions, creating scenarios where these feelings can be safely expressed. Because the prefrontal cortex is quiet, dreams are less restricted by logic. This freedom allows the brain to rehearse social interactions, confront fears, and imagine outcomes in a protected mental space. Studies have shown that people who are deprived of REM sleep often experience irritability, anxiety, and emotional instability. Over time, chronic REM deprivation may contribute to depression. This suggests that dreaming is not just decorative. It serves a deep and necessary psychological role. Dreams also appear to enhance creativity. During REM sleep, the brain forms new associations between ideas. This happens because memory networks, especially those related to emotion, sensation, and language, interact in ways they do not during waking hours. A sleeping brain may pair a childhood memory with a recent conversation or mix familiar faces with unfamiliar settings. These combinations can lead to creative insights. Some artists and scientists have described dreams as sources of inspiration. Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, traced the seed of her novel to a vivid dream. The surrealist painter Salvador Dali would intentionally wake himself during early dream states to capture imagery that defied logic. In this way, the dream becomes a canvas, allowing the mind to paint with unexpected colors. Another theory about dreams is that they help with threat rehearsal, known as the threat simulation theory. It suggests that dreams allow us to practice responses to danger in a low-risk environment. In prehistoric times, humans who rehearsed escaping predators or surviving conflict in dreams may have been better prepared in waking life. Even today, many dreams involve running, hiding, or facing conflict scenarios that may have evolutionary roots. But not all dreams are filled with danger or emotion. Many dreams involve simple routines: walking down a hallway, talking to a friend, sitting in a classroom. These scenarios may help the brain maintain a sense of familiarity with everyday situations. In this view, dreams are not only for healing or rehearsal, but also for cognitive housekeeping, refreshing our internal maps of the world. Lucid dreaming is another fascinating phenomenon. This occurs when the dreamer becomes aware they are dreaming and, in some cases, can influence the dream's direction. Lucid dreaming is more likely during the later part of the night, when REM sleep becomes longer and deeper. Though relatively rare, lucid dreams have been studied using brain imaging. They show a unique pattern of activation that includes both emotional and logical centers, suggesting a hybrid state of consciousness. Some researchers are exploring how lucid dreaming might be used therapeutically for people with recurring nightmares. especially those related to trauma. Learning to recognize and redirect dreams can reduce distress. In this way, the dream becomes not only a stage for emotional processing, but a tool for healing. The subconscious mind, the layer of the mind that lies beneath conscious awareness, plays a central role in dreams. This part of the mind stores memories, desires, fears, and patterns that may not be present in our daily thoughts, but still shape how we feel and behave. Dreams may offer a window into this deeper layer. A recurring dream about falling, for example, may reflect a subconscious sense of losing control. A dream about flying may represent freedom or release. Freud, Jung, and other early psychologists explored the symbolic meaning of dreams. While modern science tends to focus more on brain activity than symbolism, the idea that dreams reflect the subconscious is still widely held. The brain is not just sorting events, it is interpreting them. It is layering emotion, identity, and meaning onto experience. Sleep researchers have found that dream content varies across cultures, ages, and life stages. Children tend to dream about animals and fantasy. Adults more often dream about social interaction. Elderly people report fewer nightmares and less emotional intensity in dreams. Culture shapes dream content too. People in urban environments may dream more about technology or crowded spaces, while those in rural areas may dream about nature. Yet, despite these differences, the act of dreaming is universal. Every healthy brain dreams, even if we do not remember it. Dream recall varies by individual and tends to be stronger in people who wake during REM sleep or who naturally pay more attention to inner experience. Why then do we forget most of our dreams? One reason is that the brain's memory systems function differently during sleep. The neurotransmitters that support memory, such as norepinephrine, are reduced during REM. This means that while the dream feels vivid in the moment, it is not always stored in long-term memory. Upon waking, the dream slips away like mist in the morning light. To remember dreams, researchers suggest waking naturally, avoiding alarms, and taking a few quiet moments before moving. Writing down fragments, emotions, or images can help bring the dream into waking memory. There is still much we do not know. Can dreams predict illness? Can they be influenced by external sounds or smells? Can the content of dreams be used as diagnostic tools? These questions remain open, but what is clear is that dreams are not meaningless. They are not just the random noise of sleeping neurons. They reflect the architecture of thought, the echoes of memory, and the dance of emotion. Each night, the mind retreats into its own world. Emotions are rebalanced. Fears are softened. Insights are born. Even in sleep, the brain continues its vital work. As we drift further into the depths of rest, the dream world gently fades. The heart slows, muscles relax, and deeper systems awake, concerned not with thoughts or feelings, but with the healing of tissue, the renewal of cells, and the quiet rhythms of the body. Next, we will explore the body's role in this nighttime symphony. What happens beneath the skin while the brain dreams? How do organs, hormones, and immune cells use sleep to repair, defend, and reset? Let us now turn to the inner landscape of the sleeping body. As night deepens and the conscious mind retreats, the body begins its silent restoration. Sleep is not an idle pause. but a vital operation. Within this pause, 1,000 tiny repair teams begin their shifts. Cells awaken, not to think, but to mend. Organs tune themselves. Muscles patch small tears. Imagine walking through a city at midnight. On the surface, everything seems still. Pipes are flushed. That city is your body, and its overnight workforce is made of cells, enzymes, and messenger molecules. Inside the bloodstream, chemical messengers called hormones direct the repair. One of the most important is growth hormone. Despite its name, it works not only in children, but also in adults. Released mostly during deep sleep, it acts like a foreman on a construction site. It signals tissues to rebuild, guiding muscle, fibers to repair after a long day of strain, helping bones remain dense, and prompting the liver to manage nutrients efficiently. In people who exercise, the benefits of this night work are even more visible. Tiny tears in the muscles caused by lifting or running are gently repaired, and in the process, strength is gained. Cells still undergo maintenance. Everyday life causes small damage: standing, walking, sitting, even stress. The body doesn't wait for permission. It repairs, whether you notice or not. Skin, too, is deeply active. During the day, skin protects against sunlight, pollution, and mechanical stress. But at night, its defenses shift. Blood flow to the skin increases. This helps bring in oxygen and nutrients. Special cells, called fibroblasts, begin producing more collagen. Collagen is the soft framework that supports the skin's firmness and elasticity. And wrinkled. Sleep helps restore its balance. Consider this. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can reduce skin hydration and increase signs of aging. On the other hand, deep, uninterrupted sleep promotes a glowing appearance. But beneath the surface, it's more than beauty, it's function. Healthy skin keeps out bacteria, regulates body temperature, and even helps us sense the world. Beneath the skin, the immune system also gets to work. Throughout the day, we breathe in viruses and bacteria. We touch surfaces and carry countless microbes. Many are harmless, but some are not. Immune cells patrol the blood and tissues like silent guardians. During sleep, they multiply more efficiently. They also communicate more clearly. One group of these protectors are the T cells. They help recognize and attack infected cells. During sleep, these T cells become more sticky, allowing them to latch onto their targets more effectively. Sleep improves their precision, allowing them to find invaders faster. Another group, called cytokines, are like chemical messengers. Some of them signal inflammation. Inflammation is not always bad, it's the body's alarm system, but it needs balance. Too much can cause harm to little, and healing is slow. During sleep, cytokine levels adjust. This keeps the immune response effective, but not excessive. A good night's sleep also strengthens the memory of the immune system. This is especially important after vaccination. Without sleep, this memory is weaker. It's like trying to memorize a new language while distracted. Sleep clears the way for focus, both for the brain and for immune cells. Now shift your attention to the digestive system. After dinner, the stomach digests food and nutrients are absorbed, but overnight the gut moves into its next phase: rest and reset. A special electrical rhythm called the migrating motor complex sweeps through the small intestine. It pushes leftover particles forward, clearing space for the next day. This process prevents overgrowth of bacteria. It also supports the lining of the gut, which needs time to renew. This lining is only a single cell thick, but it protects us from the outside world. Hormones also play a key role in metabolism. Insulin, which controls blood sugar, becomes more sensitive after good sleep. But when sleep is short or broken, insulin doesn't work as well. This can raise blood sugar levels, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes over time. Another hormone, leptin, tells the brain when the body has had enough to eat. Sleep increases leptin levels. Meanwhile, ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger, goes down. Without enough sleep, this balance is reversed. The body feels hungrier, cravings grow. Over time, this can affect weight and energy. In the liver, quiet work unfolds as well. It filters toxins, stores nutrients, and produces proteins for the blood. During sleep, it continues these tasks, but at a steadier pace. Enzymes break down chemicals. Glucose is stored or released depending on need. Cholesterol is balanced. The liver also helps clear old hormones from circulation, maintaining harmony. Across the body, the kidneys, to adjust their rhythm at night. These twin organs filter the blood, removing waste and controlling water balance. At night, their filtering rate slows. Trips to the bathroom. This natural slowdown is carefully regulated by hormones like vasopressin, which signals the kidneys to hold onto water. Even bones, which seem inert, are active. Bone is not a static material. It is living tissue, constantly reshaped. Cells, called osteoblasts, build bone. Others, called osteoclasts, break it down. Sleep supports their balance. In deep sleep, bone building increases. This is especially important in children whose bones are growing, but it also matters in adults. Healthy sleep supports bone strength, reducing the risk of fractures later in life. One of the most subtle but powerful repair systems is the glymphatic system. This system was only discovered recently. It is like a network of fluid channels that surround the brain. During sleep, it clears waste products, is most active during deep sleep. Like a nighttime rinse cycle, it helps refresh the brain's inner environment. Consider this: the brain produces toxic proteins as part of daily activity. During wakefulness, these accumulate, but in deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely. It washes between brain cells, carrying away waste. Without this, toxins linger. Over time, they may interfere with memory and clarity. Sleep is the body's most natural form of detox. Now picture the heart. This strong muscle beats all day and night, never resting, but its rhythm changes at night. During sleep, the heart rate slows, blood pressure drops. This gives the cardiovascular system a chance to rest. The lining of the blood vessels, called the endothelium, repairs microscopic damage caused by daily wear. Sleep also helps regulate cholesterol and triglyceride levels. It balances inflammatory signals in the blood. High blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, and hardened arteries become more likely. Finally, the reproductive system is also tuned by sleep. In men, testosterone, a key hormone, for strength, mood, and fertilities, mostly released during deep sleep. In women, hormones like estrogen and progesterone are also influenced by sleep patterns. These hormones are vital, not just for fertility, but for bone health, brain function, and emotional balance. Disrupted sleep can lead to irregular cycles, mood changes, and metabolic shifts. Sleep, then, is not simply rest. It is coordination, a ballet of signals and responses. Repair crews of the body, working with precision. From the outermost layer of the skin to the deep chambers of the brain, every system has a night role. Healing is not isolated, it is shared. And while this may seem like background work, its effects are seen in daylight. Strong muscles, clear skin, steady emotions, focused thoughts, a healthy immune system, all begin quietly in the hours most people overlook. In hospitals, doctors know this well. Patients recover better when they sleep well. Wounds heal faster. Infections resolve more quickly. Pain decreases. Even mental recovery from trauma, from surgery, from stress moves more smoothly. In modern life, where sleep is often sacrificed, this quiet orchestra is sometimes silenced too soon. But the body remembers. Given rest, it returns to its rhythm. The repair teams assemble once again, and each night, behind closed eyes, they go to work without fanfare, without rest preparing you for the light of the next day. Now, as you lie still, feel the slow heartbeat, the warmth of your breath. Somewhere inside, a molecule moves. A cell divides. Another is repaired. This is not sleep as absence. It is sleep as renewal. In the next section, we'll travel even deeper into the rhythms that guide all of these repairs. From hormone pulses to the quiet ticking of biological clocks, we'll explore how time itself shapes the sleeping body. Inside every living cell, from the heart to the liver, from the brain to the skin, there is a quiet rhythm, a soft ticking, a biological clock. This inner timing system is called the circadian rhythm, a word that means about a day. It is not guided by gears or batteries, but by light, darkness, and tiny chemical messengers that flow through the body. Imagine you are standing inside a great clock tower made not of metal, but of living tissue. Instead of bells, it uses signals. Instead of hands and numbers, it uses proteins and genes. This inner clock tells your body when to sleep and when to wake, when to digest food and when to rest, when to release hormones and when to hold them back. It is quiet, but it governs everything. The center of this timing system sits deep in the brain, in a place called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is a small cluster of nerve cells located just above the place where the optic nerves cross. In simpler words, it lives near where your brain handles light. And that is no accident, because light is the master switch for the body's daily rhythms. In the morning, when sunlight hits your eyes, signals rush to this inner control center. These signals tell your body that it is time to be alert. Cortisol, a natural chemical that helps with energy, rises. Body temperature increases slightly. The digestive system becomes active. Muscles respond more quickly. The brain begins to move from rest to focus. As the sun sets, the process begins. To reverse, light fades. The eyes sense the change, and the brain responds. A special hormone called melatonin begins to rise. It signals that the day is ending. The body slows down, muscles relax, blood pressure drops gently. Brain waves begin to shift toward a calmer state. This gentle change prepares the body for the journey into sleep. But sleep is not a single state. It is a cycle, like the phases of the moon or the changing tides. Sleep moves in waves, and these waves matter. There are two main types of sleep: non-REM sleep and REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement. This is the phase where dreams often appear, vivid and strange. But before we reach that dream state, the body must pass through 3 earlier stages. Stage 1 is light sleep. It lasts only a few minutes. In this stage, you may feel as if you are drifting. Brain activity slows, but not fully. Muscles begin to relax, though you may still twitch. It is easy to wake from this stage. Stage 2 is deeper. Here, your brain starts creating special wave patterns known as sleep spindles and K-complexes. These are brief bursts of activity that help protect your sleep. They also play a role in memory, helping your brain begin to sort and store what you learned during the day. Then comes stage 3. This is deep sleep, sometimes called slow wave sleep. Brain waves slow down into large, steady patterns. It is during this stage that the body performs much of its repair work. Growth hormone is released. The immune system strengthens. Muscles rebuild. This is the most restful part of sleep, and it is hard to wake someone who is in it. After this, the brain shifts into REM sleep. This is the dream phase. The eyes move quickly under closed lids. Breathing becomes shallow. Heart rate rises slightly. Brain activity looks almost like wakefulness, yet the body remains still. Muscles are temporarily paralyzed, a safety mechanism so that we do not act out our dreams. Together, these 4 stages make up one sleep cycle. Each cycle lasts around 90 to 120 minutes. During a full night's sleep, most people pass through 4 to 6 of these cycles. The early part of the night is dominated by deep sleep. The body focuses on physical healing, energy recovery, and immune system work. But as the night goes on, REM sleep becomes longer. In the early hours of morning, the brain spends more time in dreams. It is a natural shift, a careful balance. This cycling is essential. If sleep is broken or shortened, the body may not reach enough deep sleep, or it may lose REM sleep. Either one can affect memory, mood, and health. Consider this: when someone stays up all night the next time they sleep, the body quickly dives into more deep sleep and more REM. This is known as sleep rebound. It shows how the body tries to recover lost stages, not just lost hours. What controls these cycles? Part of the answer lies in brain chemistry. There are many chemical messengers that help regulate sleep. One is adenosine. It builds up in the brain during the day, making you feel sleepy. When you sleep, adenosine levels fall, helping you feel alert in the morning. Caffeine, found in coffee and tea, works by blocking adenosine. This is why it can delay sleep. Another key player is melatonin, the hormone released in darkness. It helps guide the timing of sleep, especially in relation to light and dark. In some places, people use melatonin as a supplement to adjust to new time zones or treat sleep disorders. But the body also makes it naturally, in gentle waves. Temperature also plays a role. As bedtime approaches, your core body temperature drops slightly. This cooling effect helps signal the brain that it is time to sleep. In fact, taking a warm bath before bed can trigger this process. As you step out and cool down, your body interprets the drop as a cue for rest. Even the position of the body affects sleep cycles. Lying flat helps shift blood flow and body posture to promote relaxation. A quiet, dark environment supports melatonin release and reduces stimulation. Over time, your brain links certain routines, such as brushing teeth or dimming lights, with the idea of sleep. This is called conditioning, and it is part of the brain's learning process. Now consider people who work night shifts or travel across time zones. Their circadian rhythms often fall out of sync with the external world. This can lead to a state called circadian misalignment. In such cases, the body's inner clocks are not in harmony with sunlight and darkness. This can affect everything from digestion to focus and even long-term health. In nature, most living things have circadian rhythms. Plants open their leaves in the morning and fold them at night. Animals hunt or rest depending on the sun. Even bacteria have rhythms linked to light and temperature. Life itself seems to flow in cycles. Inside the human body, there is not just one clock. Each organ, each cell, has its own rhythm, but they all take cues from the central clock in the brain. This coordination helps keep the body in balance. It ensures that digestion does not peak at midnight, or that alertness does not spike just before bedtime. When this system works well, we feel refreshed, alert, and focused during the day on sleepy.com and restful at night. When it is disrupted, we may feel foggy, restless, or even depressed. Sleep cycles are not just patterns, they are essential processes. Each stage contributes to a different kind of healing. One heals the body, another heals the mind. One supports memory, another balances emotions. All of them work together to help you function. And so, as night falls, your body begins its hidden journey, guided by inner clocks, carried by waves of light and chemistry. Your brain and body move through cycles of rest, repair, and renewal. In the quiet dark, your cells remember the time, your heart slows, your breath deepens, and a familiar rhythm begins again. The rhythm of sleep, the rhythm of life. Consider this: every night as you sleep, a silent army begins its rounds. No boots echo down corridors, no alarms blare, but within you, patrols mobilize, scouts observe, and battles unfold, all in microscopic silence. This army is your immune system, but by night, under the cover of sleep, it trains, repairs, and reorganizes, quietly enhancing your resilience. Let us begin at the level of the individual soldier, the immune cell. Your body houses several kinds of immune cells, each with a specialized role. Some act like sentinels, constantly patrolling the bloodstream and lymphatic system. These include natural killer cells, which can detect and destroy virus-infected or cancerous cells. Others are like archivists, collecting information from encounters with pathogens. Dendritic cells, for instance, gather evidence and present it to more powerful immune units, T cells and B cells. There are also foot soldiers, like neutrophils and macrophages. These cells perform direct combat, engulfing and digesting foreign organisms. And behind them, there are the more calculated, slower responder cells of the adaptive immune system. These include helper T cells, cytotoxic T cells, and memory B cells, which carry long-term records of past battles. All of this complexity requires tight regulation And sleep is when much of that regulation occurs. During restful sleep, particularly in the deeper stages of non-REM sleep, the immune system is not simply resting, it is recalibrating. Levels of certain cytokine small proteins that help control immune activity increase. Some cytokines are pro-inflammatory, activating immune responses, while others are anti-inflammatory, suppressing unnecessary activity. The balance between these determines how efficiently and safely the immune system functions. One such cytokine is which rises during sleep and plays a key role in promoting inflammation and initiating defense mechanisms. Another is tumor necrosis factor alpha, also known to surge during slow-wave sleep. These molecules help immune cells communicate, activate, and proliferate. Why during sleep? Because the absence of waking stress and movement allows the body to shift its energy resources. The muscles no longer need to contract, the digestive system slows, the senses dim. In this state of internal stillness, the immune system is free to do deeper work. Sleep also supports the production and release of growth hormone, which has immune-modulating effects. Growth hormone helps repair tissue damage and supports the proliferation of immune cells. The thymus gland, where T cells mature, is particularly responsive to the patterns of sleep and wakefulness. Interestingly, the immune system also affects sleep. When you are sick, your body produces more inflammatory cytokines, which, in turn, promote longer and deeper sleep. This is not a coincidence. It is an adaptive mechanism. By encouraging sleep during illness, the body creates ideal conditions for immune repair and activation. There is a bidirectional relationship at play. Sleep strengthens immunity, and immunity influences sleep. The effects of sleep deprivation on this system are measurable and profound. Even a single night of poor sleep can reduce the number and activity of natural killer cells. These cells play a crucial role in detecting virus-infected or cancerous cells. Reduced activity makes the body more susceptible to infection and malignancy. Chronic sleep loss impairs the production of antibodies, proteins designed to recognize and neutralize specific pathogens. It also disrupts the balance of tilting the system toward inflammation. This low-grade inflammation has been linked to a wide range of conditions, from cardiovascular disease to diabetes and depression. The training of immune memory also depends on sleep. Just as the brain consolidates memories during sleep, so too does the immune system reinforce its recognition of threats it has encountered. This process is critical in the context of vaccination. Consider this example. After receiving a vaccine, your immune system begins to produce antibodies and memory cells specific to that pathogen. If you sleep well during the days following vaccination, your body creates a stronger, more durable response. Studies have shown that people who are sleep deprived after vaccination may produce fewer antibodies, weakening the protective effect. In this way, sleep functions as a kind of internal rehearsal. Just as a musician repeats a piece to strengthen muscle memory, the immune system repeats its lessons during sleep, fine-tuning its accuracy and readiness. Circadian rhythms also play a role in immune regulation. The timing of immune cell release and migration follows a daily rhythm. Some cells peak in number during the day, others at night. Hormones like cortisol, which is highest in the early morning, help coordinate this rhythm. Cortisol is known to suppress certain immune functions. Its decline during the evening sets the stage for immune activation during sleep. Melatonin, the hormone responsible for inducing drowsiness, also has immunoregulatory functions. Produced by the pineal gland in response to darkness, melatonin enhances the activity of certain immune cells and protects tissues from oxidative stress. It acts not only as a sleep signal, but also as a quiet sentinel, supporting immune defenses under the veil of night. Another essential component is the glymphatic system, which functions primarily during sleep. This system clears waste products from the brain, including inflammatory molecules and metabolic debris that can disrupt neural and immune communication. In doing so, it supports both cognitive and immune health. The link between sleep and immunity is not a recent discovery. Ancient texts often emphasized rest as part of healing. Today, modern research continues to confirm the wisdom of that intuition. Consider the recovery rooms of hospitals. Lights are dimmed, voices hushed. Beyond medical treatment, sleep is recognized as a powerful adjunct to healing. Patients who sleep well recover faster, respond better to therapy, and experience fewer complications. On the battlefield of the body, rest is not retreat, it is repair. Sleep provides time for immune cells to proliferate, cytokines to signal, and memories to consolidate. It is a nightly renewal of readiness. In the context of public health, sleep has implications far beyond the individual. During flu season, in pandemics, or in areas where vaccines are scarce, promoting healthy sleep may be one of the simplest, most cost-effective tools to improve immune resilience across populations. From the microcosm of a single T cell to the coordinated ballet of immune memory, sleep offers the ideal theater for immune function to flourish. It is not merely passive downtime, but a structured phase of immune recalibration and optimization. When you close your eyes at night, you are not lowering your defenses, you are strengthening them. In this stillness, your immune army trains, it learns, it prepares, and when morning comes, you awaken not just rested, but protected. Imagine drifting through a coral reef at night, the ocean hushed and dappled with moonlight. Amidst the gently swaying sea anemones, a parrotfish wraps itself in a mucus cocoon, hidden from predators and parasites. This silent, floating sleeper is just one example of how animals have evolved remarkable and varied strategies for rest teach, one shaped by evolutionary pressures, environmental needs, and survival strategies. Sleep is not a human luxury. It is a biological imperative, present across the animal kingdom, from invertebrates to mammals, from birds soaring through the sky to reptiles basking under the sun. And yet, how sleep manifests, how long it lasts, what form it takes, and what functions it fulfills differs widely from species to species. Let us begin with a creature of the skies, the bird. Some birds are capable of unihemispheric slow-wave sleepiform of rest, in which one hemisphere of the brain sleeps while the other remains awake. This allows certain species, such as the alpine swift, to remain partially conscious while flying. In fact, alpine swifts have been recorded flying non-stop for over 200 days, resting midair, using this elegant neurological split. The frigate bird, another marvel of avian adaptation, can sleep while gliding over the ocean, managing mere seconds of rest at a time during flight. Studies have shown that they average around 42 minutes of sleep per day while airborne, compared to over 12 hours when on land. On the other side of the globe, within the oceans, dolphins and other cetaceans display a similar unihemispheric sleep pattern. Unlike land mammals, dolphins cannot afford to become entirely unconscious. They must rise to the surface periodically to breathe. To reconcile this need with the necessity of rest, they shut down only one hemisphere of the brain at a time. The awake hemisphere keeps one eye open, monitoring their surroundings for threats or navigation. This alternating pattern of sleep is a rhythmic dance between vigilance and restoration, allowing them to remain alert and oxygenated while still benefiting from rest. Further beneath the surface, certain species of sharks exhibit a different strategy. Some must keep swimming continuously to ensure oxygen flow over their gills. To cope, they enter periods of restful torpor-lowered activity and responsiveness while still moving. This state is not identical to human sleep, but it appears to offer a similar recuperative function. For animals that cannot pause, evolution provides motion-compatible rest. Even among terrestrial animals, the variability in sleep is striking. Elephants, for example, are the shortest sleeping mammals known. In the wild, they may sleep less than 2 hours per day, often while standing. Their massive size, constant need for food, and vulnerability to predation drive this pattern. By contrast, the little brown bat, a small insectivore, may sleep up to 20 hours per day in captivity. High metabolic demands, nocturnal feeding patterns, and limited predator threats during rest all contribute to this extended duration. Primates, including humans, to sleep in consolidated monophasic bouts, typically during the night. Yet, even within our primate relatives, patterns vary. Chimpanzees and orangutans build sleeping nests high in the trees, crafting them anew each night for safety and comfort. This nightly ritual is believed to support deeper, more stable sleep, possibly influencing cognitive development. Such behaviors point to the adaptive nature of sleep architecture, tailored to specific ecological and social needs. Among reptiles and amphibians, research continues to uncover more about sleep-like states. While many exhibit periods of reduced activity and metabolic slowing, it is less clear whether their states meet the full criteria for sleep observed in mammals. However, evidence of slow wave-like neural patterns and behavioral quiescence suggests that the need for rest predates the divergence of these lineages hundreds of millions of years ago. In the insect world, bees and fruit flies also exhibit rest states akin to sleep. Drosophila melanogaster, the common fruit fly, enters periods of immobility with increased arousal thresholds and rebound effects after sleep deprivation, hallmarks of genuine sleep. Honeybees not only sleep, but their sleep appears essential for memory consolidation, particularly in navigational learning. A bee deprived of rest may struggle to recall the location of food sources or the route back to the hive. Here we see one of the most fundamental roles of sleep, the reinforcement of memory and learning. Perhaps most surprising of all is the phenomenon of sleep in creatures with no centralized brain. Jellyfish of the genus Cassiopeia, for example, possess only a decentralized nerve net. Yet studies have shown that they undergo periods of behavioral quiescence, reduced responsiveness, and sleep rebound when deprived of rest. This suggests that the origins of sleep-like states may lie not in complex cognition, but in cellular or metabolic maintenance of foundational biological function. So what does all of this tell us about our own sleep? The immense diversity of sleep patterns across species offers several insights. First, sleep is deeply conserved in evolution, suggesting that its core functions be the memory consolidation, metabolic restoration, or immune regulation are indispensable to life. Second, the form that sleep takes is highly plastic, whether in total hours, brain activity, or posture. Sleep adapts to the lifestyle and risks of the organism. It is shaped not only by internal biology, but also by external demands, the need to forage, to evade predators, to migrate, or to care for young humans. Sleep is predominantly governed by circadian rhythms, 24-hour cycles shaped by light exposure, and internal hormonal cues by homeostatic pressure, which builds with time spent awake. Yet, even within our species, sleep needs vary by age, genetics, and environment. Some of us thrive on shorter bouts, while others require extended periods of rest. This variability, mirrored across the animal world, reminds us that there is no singular blueprint for sleep. There is only adaptation. Consider also the cost of sleep deprivation. In virtually all animals studied, lack of sleep results in impaired performance, reduced immune function, and, in extreme cases, death. Sleep is not optional, it is essential, and although its exact mechanisms remain partially mysterious, its necessity is beyond question. In the end, sleep is a paradox. It leaves animals vulnerable, unresponsive, and seemingly inactive. Yet every species on Earth, from birds in the sky to invertebrates in the sand, has evolved some way to preserve it. This enduring need hints at the profound importance of what happens during rest processes too vital to abandon, even in the face of risk. As we continue our exploration of sleep, let us carry this perspective forward, that sleep is not merely a nightly pause in consciousness, but a rhythmic expression of life itself, echoing across wings, fins, fur, and skin. In understanding the sleep of animals, we glimpse the evolutionary story written into our own biology, one heartbeat, one breath, and one dream at a time. Consider this: while one person lies down for a continuous 8-hour rest in a quiet, darkened room, another naps beneath the shade of a tree, resting briefly but deeply before returning to their work. Sleep, though universal in biological necessity, is far from uniform in its practice. Across the globe, the way people sleep is profoundly shaped by culture, climate, geography, and social structure. Let us begin in Spain, where the tradition of the siesta, short nap, taken in the early afternoon remains. A hallmark of daily life, particularly in smaller towns and rural communities. The siesta emerged not as a cultural indulgence, but as a practical adaptation to heat and labor rhythms. In regions where summer temperatures soar, midday rest offered a reprieve from intense sun and allowed workers to resume their duties in the cooler evening hours. Though modern work schedules have altered this rhythm, the cultural memory of the siesta persists, especially in southern Spain and across parts of Latin America. In Italy, a similar practice called riposo offers a midday pause, often encompassing both rest and a family meal. In these societies, sleep is not always seen as a singular nighttime block, but rather as a flexible, divided experience. This segmented sleep structure, known as biphasic or polyphasic sleep, stands in contrast to the more rigid 8-hour model often promoted in industrialized nations. Now let us journey eastward to Japan, a country renowned for its work ethic and structured social order. In this context, inamuri, translated as sleeping while present, offers a fascinating insight into the cultural fabric of rest. Unlike in Western cultures, where sleeping in public is often frowned upon, inamuri is considered socially acceptable and even respectable in certain settings. A person dozing briefly during a meeting or on a train may be seen not as lazy, but as industrious, so dedicated to their responsibilities that they must seize rest whenever possible. Japanese sleep patterns also reflect broader societal conditions. Long working hours, dense urban living, and limited home space have contributed to shorter average sleep durations. Despite modern technology and comfort, the average Japanese adult sleeps fewer hours than many global counterparts. This reveals that sleep is not only influenced by biology, but also by economic and social demands. In contrast, many African cultures embrace a more communal and fluid approach to sleep. In rural Nigerian communities, for example, sleep is often spread throughout the day and night, divided into shorter episodes aligned with environmental cues and social activity. Families may sleep outdoors under the stars during hot seasons, gathering in courtyards or under trees to rest collectively. This polyphasic pattern, where individuals nap during the day and wake during the night for conversation or activity, reflects a more natural alignment with circadian rhythms than the consolidated Western model. Among the Himba people of Namibia, sleep occurs in stages, often interrupted by periods of wakefulness during the night. This segmented sleep, once common in pre-industrial Europe, may allow for reflection, storytelling, or spiritual practice in the dark hours. Here, sleep is woven into the social and ecological rhythms of life, not treated as a distinct and private retreat. In Nordic countries, such as Sweden and Finland, the long and varied light cycles of summer and winter play a powerful role in shaping sleep. During summer, the sun may never fully set above the Arctic Circle, while in winter, darkness can dominate for weeks. To adapt, people often use blackout curtains or light therapy lamps to simulate more regular day-night cycles. This manipulation of environmental light is a modern tool to stabilize circadian rhythms that would otherwise drift under extreme seasonal change. The importance of light in regulating sleep can also be seen in the Islamic tradition of prayer, which divides the day into 5 distinct intervals. The first Fajr occurs before sunrise, encouraging an early rising habit. In many Muslim-majority countries, daily routines and sleep schedules are structured around these prayers. During Ramadan, for example, meal and sleep timing shift significantly, with many individuals sleeping after the pre-dawn meal and waking again after evening prayers. These adjustments demonstrate how religious and cultural practices deeply influence when and how people sleep. In Latin American cultures, particularly in Mexico and parts of Central America, napping is common across generations. Children and elders alike may enjoy short rests after lunch, while the workday accommodates these rhythms. In contrast, in North America and the United Kingdom, Napping among adults is often stigmatized or reserved for illness or extreme fatigue. The prevailing ideal of productivity and individualism has historically encouraged consolidated nighttime sleep and discouraged daytime rest. Even within countries, sleep habits can vary by region, class, and occupation. In urban centers, with intense work schedules, sleep may be sacrificed in favor of productivity. In agricultural communities, rest may align more closely with sunrise and sunset. The diversity of sleep traditions reflects the intersection of environmental conditions, economic systems, spiritual beliefs, and cultural norms. Yet, despite these differences, a common thread remains. Humans seek rest in ways that balance biology with environment. Our bodies are governed by circadian rhythms, internal clocks that respond to light, temperature, and routine. But how we interpret these signals is filtered through the lens of culture. Today, as global lifestyles shift and digital screens illuminate the night, traditional sleep patterns are evolving. In some cases, long-standing habits like the siesta are declining under pressure from modern schedules. In others, scientific understanding of sleep is encouraging a return to more flexible and natural rhythms. In observing the rich tapestry of global sleep traditions, we are reminded that rest is both a shared necessity and a cultural expression. The ways we sleep are shaped not only by our physiology, but by our values, our histories, and the lands we inhabit. Sleep, then, is not merely a biological act, it is a reflection of how we live. Imagine a night stretched long, where rest remains elusive. Hours pass, and the mind refuses to yield to sleep's invitation. Or consider the opposite, where slumber descends suddenly, without warning, in the middle of a conversation, a meal, or a moment of work. These are not mere quirks of behavior. They are signs of profound disruptions in one of the body's most essential biological processes. Sleep, though universal and largely automatic, is remarkably delicate in its balance. It depends on intricate coordination between the brain, hormones, muscles, and external cues such as light and temperature. When this balance is disturbed, sleep disorders may emerge, conditions that are often invisible but deeply impactful. In this section, we will explore 3 of the most prevalent and instructive sleep disorders: insomnia, sleep apnea, and narcolepsy. Each reveals a unique vulnerability in the sleep-wake system. Let us begin with insomnia, perhaps the most widely recognized sleep disorder. It is defined not simply as difficulty falling asleep, but also as trouble staying asleep or waking earlier than desired and being unable to return to rest. Chronic insomnia is diagnosed when these disturbances occur at least 3 nights per week for a period of 3 months or longer. The causes of insomnia are numerous, often layered, and may include psychological, neurological, and environmental factors. Stress, anxiety, and depression are common contributors. When the brain remains hyperactive, it struggles to initiate the shift from wakefulness to sleep. Even when the body is still, the mind races, replaying thoughts, worries, or plans. Insomnia may also result from poor sleep hygiene, the set of habits and routines that prepare the body for rest. Exposure to bright screens before bed, irregular sleep schedules, excessive caffeine, and noise pollution can all interfere with the circadian rhythm and the secretion of melatonin. a hormone released by the pineal gland in response to darkness. In some cases, insomnia is secondary, meaning it arises as a symptom of another condition, such as chronic pain, asthma, or a neurological disorder. Regardless of its origin, insomnia has far-reaching effects. The body, deprived of restorative sleep, accumulates fatigue. Cognitive performance declines. Emotional regulation becomes fragile, and the risk of cardiovascular and metabolic diseases increases. Treatment depends on the underlying cause. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI, is a non-pharmacological intervention that helps retrain the brain's associations with sleep. It often includes techniques such as stimulus control, sleep restriction, and relaxation training. In some cases, short-term use of medications such as sedative hypnotics or melatonin receptor agonists may be prescribed, though these are carefully monitored for dependence and side effects. Now, imagine a different scenario. A person falls asleep easily but wakes repeatedly throughout the night, often without realizing why. They may feel unrested in the morning, plagued by headaches or daytime sleepiness. This pattern often signals a different condition: obstructive sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is characterized by repeated interruptions in breathing during sleep. In the most common form, obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, the airway collapses or becomes blocked, usually due to the relaxation of throat muscles. These pauses in breathing can last for seconds or even over a minute, and may occur dozens or hundreds of times per night. When breathing stops, oxygen levels drop, triggering the brain to briefly rouse the sleeper in order to restore airflow. These micro-arousals may be so brief that the person does not remember waking, yet the cycle prevents entry into deep, restorative sleep. Over time, the consequences can be serious. Sleep apnea has been linked to hypertension, arrhythmias, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Risk factors for obstructive sleep apnea include obesity, male sex, a large neck circumference, and anatomical features such as enlarged tonsils or a recessed jaw. In postmenopausal women, the risk also increases, possibly due to hormonal changes. Diagnosis typically involves an overnight sleep study known as polysomnography. During this procedure, sensors monitor breathing patterns, oxygen saturation, heart rate, and sleep stages. Once confirmed, treatment often involves continuous positive airway pressure, or CPAP, which delivers air through a mask to keep the airway open. Other options include mandibular advancement devices, weight loss, positional therapy, or, in some cases, surgery to remove obstructive tissue. In another form of the disorder, central sleep apnea, the brain fails to send proper signals to the muscles that control breathing. This condition is less common, but can occur in individuals with heart failure, stroke, or neurological disease. It may also appear in high-altitude environments or as a side effect of certain medications, such as opioids. Whether obstructive or central, sleep apnea silently fragments the night and burdens the cardiovascular system. Its hallmark is not merely snoring or fatigue, but an invisible struggle for breath, a reminder that sleep depends not only on neural signals, but on open airways and rhythmic respiration. Now, let us turn to narcolepsy, a disorder that, though rare, offers extraordinary insight into the mechanisms of sleep. Narcolepsy is a chronic neurological condition characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness and sudden, uncontrollable sleep episodes. These can occur during any activity and often without warning. The most distinctive feature of narcolepsy is cataplexia, sudden loss of muscle tone triggered by strong emotions such as laughter, surprise, or anger. A person experiencing cataplexy may collapse or become unable to speak or move, even though they remain conscious. This occurs due to an intrusion of REM sleep-like muscle atonia into wakefulness. Other symptoms may include sleep paralysis, in which the person temporarily cannot move upon falling asleep or waking, and hypnagogic hallucinations, vivid, dreamlike experiences that occur at the boundary between sleep and wake. Narcolepsy is typically divided into two types. Type 1 involves cataplexy and is associated with low levels of hypocretin, also known as orexin neuropeptide, produced in the hypothalamus that regulates arousal and wakefulness. Type 2 lacks cataplexy and may have normal hypocretin levels. The precise cause of narcolepsy remains under study, but it is believed to involve autoimmune destruction of hypocretin-producing neurons. In some cases, onset follows infections or exposure to certain viral agents, suggesting an immune-mediated trigger. Diagnosis involves multiple steps, including polysomnography, followed by a multiple sleep latency test. This measures how quickly a person falls asleep during several nap opportunities throughout the day and whether REM sleep appears unusually early within 15 minutes of sleep onset. Narcolepsy is lifelong but manageable. Stimulant medications such as modafinil or sodium oxybate may be used to promote alertness and consolidate nighttime sleep. Lifestyle strategies such as scheduled naps, regular bedtimes, and avoidance of alcohol and heavy meals can help reduce symptoms. Importantly, narcolepsy underscores the complex relationship between REM sleep, muscle tone, and emotional regulation. It reminds us that sleep states are not confined to the night. They may leak into the day when the systems that govern their boundaries begin to fail. Beyond these three major disorders, many other sleep-related conditions deserve mention. Restless legs syndrome involves an uncontrollable urge to move the limbs, often accompanied by unpleasant sensations. It typically worsens in the evening and disrupts sleep onset. Parasomnias such as sleepwalking, night terrors, and REM sleep. Behavior disorder represent abnormal behaviors or experiences during sleep, often linked to incomplete transitions between sleep stages. Circadian rhythm disorders such as delayed sleep phase syndrome, shift work disorder, and non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder arise when the internal clock is misaligned with the external environment. These conditions highlight the essential role of light, timing, and social structure in regulating healthy sleep. Despite their diversity, all sleep disorders share a common feature. They disturb the architecture of rest. Whether by fragmentation, delay, or intrusion, they reveal the complexity and fragility of the systems that support sleep. In many cases, sleep disorders go undiagnosed or untreated. Individuals may accept chronic fatigue or fragmented rest as inevitable. Yet growing research confirms that poor sleep is not merely a symptom of modern life. It is a modifiable risk factor with profound consequences for health, mood, and cognitive function. Sleep, when it goes wrong, does not do so silently. The body remembers, the mind adjusts. But over time, the wear becomes visible in attention, in emotion, in immunity. Recognizing and treating sleep disorders is not only an act of restoration, it is an affirmation of the deep biological importance of rest. Sleep may appear passive, but in its absence, the body and mind begin to unravel. In learning how it fails, we come to better understand how it works. And in that understanding, we glimpse the extraordinary complexity of what it means to sleep well. Consider this: a newborn baby, resting quietly in a crib, spends nearly 16 hours a day asleep. Meanwhile, an adult shaped by decades of experience, learning, and emotions spends roughly 1/3 of life in this same quiet state. Sleep is not an interruption of life. It is the hidden scaffold upon which life is built. To understand how sleep shapes who we are, we must first explore its influence on the brain. Sleep is deeply entwined with the processes of learning and memory. During waking hours, we absorb experiences, gather facts, and interact with the world. But it is during sleep, particularly in specific stages, that these impressions are stabilized and stored. This process is known as memory consolidation. In slow-wave sleep, the brain replays patterns of neuronal activity recorded during the day. These reactivations, especially in the hippocampus region, central to forming new memories, help transfer fragile short-term memories into more stable long-term storage in the cerebral cortex. Without this nightly transfer, memories may fade or become fragmented, but memory consolidation is only one aspect. Sleep also aids in cognitive integration. In REM sleep, where vivid dreams unfold, the brain appears to link new memories with older knowledge. It explores connections, makes associations, and even reconfigures emotional tone. This might explain why creative problem-solving and insight are enhanced after a good night's rest. Learning is more effective when sleep is adequate. Studies show that students who sleep after studying retain more than those who stay awake. Even a brief nap, especially if it includes REM, can improve recall and performance. Beyond memory, sleep exerts profound effects on mood and emotion. When deprived of rest, the brain's emotional centers become hypersensitive. The amygdala, a region that processes fear and threat, becomes overactive. Meanwhile, regulation from the prefrontal cortex, the brain's center of judgment and control, weakens. The result is greater emotional volatility, irritability, and reactivity. Sleep acts as a nightly regulator of emotional balance. It smooths the rough edges of difficult experiences and helps restore composure. In this way, it is not merely restorative, it is transformative. It shapes how we feel and how we respond to the world. The influence extends even further. Sleep touches the development of personality. In children and adolescents, it supports not only physical growth, but emotional and cognitive development. Growth hormone, essential for the maturation of tissues, muscles, and bones, is released during deep sleep. At the same time, the developing brain uses this period to build neural circuits essential for attention, language, and emotional intelligence. Chronic sleep disruption during childhood has been associated with problems in behavior, attention, and learning. It can affect temperament and social adjustment. In adults, long-term sleep deficiency is linked to mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. It also influences motivation, self-regulation, and interpersonal connection. Who we are is deeply rooted in the rhythms of our rest. The nature of dreams offers a glimpse into how sleep shapes identity. Dreams are not random. They often reflect recent experiences, unresolved emotions, or ongoing concerns. The dreaming brain, free from sensory input, weaves symbolic narratives that reflect the internal landscape of the mind, although not fully understood. Dreaming appears to serve functions related to emotional processing, memory refinement, and creative exploration. When sleep is disrupted, this reflective process is disturbed. Sleep fragmentation, whether from stress, illness, or environmental noise, reduces the time spent in REM and deep sleep. This can impair cognitive performance and emotional stability. Over time, identity itself may feel diminished, less sharp, less stable, less whole. Sleep also plays a role in moral reasoning and empathy. Research suggests that individuals who sleep well are better able to read emotional cues, respond with compassion, and make ethical decisions. This is likely due to the restorative effects of sleep on the prefrontal cortex, which governs complex social behavior. In contrast, sleep loss can narrow perspective. It can shift attention from long-term goals to short-term rewards, making impulsive choices more likely. It can dull our ability to feel connected to others. Thus, sleep not only shapes how we think and feel, but also how we relate to the people around us. In the modern world, sleep is often sacrificed in pursuit of productivity. Yet, paradoxically, lack of sleep undermines the very faculties we depend on: focus, memory, mood, and motivation. Over time, chronic sleep restriction changes brain architecture. Neurons become less responsive. Synaptic pruning, the brain's process of maintaining efficiency by trimming unused connections, becomes imbalanced. The result is cognitive fatigue, emotional flatness, and reduced adaptability. Tasks that once seemed easy become burdensome. The personality may appear duller, less flexible, or more withdrawn, but the effects of sleep are not only negative when absent, they are powerfully positive when preserved. After a night of deep, uninterrupted rest, the mind is clearer. Thoughts are more organized. Emotions feel stable. Memory sharpens. Creativity flows. We feel more like ourselves. Sleep is not passive. It is active renewal. In every cycle: light sleep, deep sleep, REM'd brain is refining who we are. It is building memories, balancing emotions, strengthening insight, and preparing us for the demands of waking life. In children, sleep lays the foundation for growth. In adults, it offers repair and reflection. And in old age, it becomes a precious rhythm essential for mental clarity and emotional peace. Sleep is not separate from identity. It is a mirror of it, a shaper, a preserver. Without sleep, the mind frays. With it, we thrive. Each night, the person you are is gently reassembled in silence. Imagine standing at the frontier of medicine, not in a laboratory or an operating room, but in a quiet, darkened bedroom. As science continues to unfold the complexities of human health, one truth is becoming increasingly clear. Sleep is not a passive state of rest. It is an active and dynamic force with profound implications for the future of healthcare. Sleep touches nearly every system in the body, from cellular maintenance to cognition, from emotional regulation to immune surveillance. And now, researchers are discovering that sleep may hold keys to some of the most pressing challenges in modern medicine: aging, neurodegenerative disease, mental illness, and immunity. One of the most promising areas of research concerns the link between deep sleep and brain health. In recent years, neuroscientists have uncovered a remarkable feature of the sleeping brain: a waste clearance system known as the glymphatic system. This network, primarily active during deep non-REM sleep, flushes out metabolic waste products that accumulate in the brain during the day. Among these waste products is beta amyloid, a protein fragment associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease. When beta amyloid is not efficiently cleared, it can aggregate into plaques that interfere with neural communication and lead to cognitive decline. Studies now suggest that individuals who consistently experience fragmented or insufficient deep sleep may have a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's. This connection has opened new possibilities in both prevention and early intervention. Rather than focusing solely on pharmaceutical approaches, researchers are exploring how improving sleep architecturist, especially the duration and quality of slow-wave sleep, might help preserve cognitive function into old age. But sleep's influence extends beyond neurodegeneration. It plays a central role in mental health more broadly. Disorders such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia are all associated with altered sleep patterns. In fact, disruptions in circadian rhythm and REM sleep are now considered early warning signs of mood instability. Sleep deprivation affects the balance of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, which regulate mood and arousal. It also alters activity in the brain's emotion processing regions, including the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. These changes may increase susceptibility to mental illness or worsen existing conditions. Modern psychiatry is beginning to treat sleep not just as a symptom, but as a core component of therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, known as CBTI, has shown promise not only in restoring sleep, but in improving mood and reducing symptoms of depression. Wearable devices, sleep tracking technologies, and personalized interventions are now being developed to monitor and support mental well-being through improved rest. Sleep is also emerging as a potent ally in the field of immunology. As described in earlier sections, sleep strengthens the immune response, enhancing the ability of T cells to recognize and attack infected cells. It improves antibody production following vaccination and helps preserve immune memory over time. These benefits are especially crucial in an age of emerging pathogens and global health challenges. During the COVID-19 pandemic, researchers observed that individuals with poor sleep had worse outcomes and slower recovery. These findings reinforce the idea that sleep is not merely protective, it is preventive. It prepares the body to face microbial threats with resilience and coordination. Looking to the future, scientists are exploring whether sleep could be intentionally harnessed to optimize immune performance. For example, some experimental protocols examine whether timing vaccinations to coincide with periods of optimal sleep might enhance immune responses. Others explore how sleep can support the efficacy of cancer immunotherapies, which rely on the immune system's ability to identify and destroy malignant cells. In the realm of aging, sleep also holds promise as a modifiable factor. As the body ages, sleep architecture naturally changes. Deep sleep becomes shallower, REM periods shorten, and the circadian rhythm may become more fragile. These changes have been associated with increased risk of chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, and cognitive impairment. But the question is now being asked, could preserving high-quality sleep slow the aging process? Research into this possibility is growing. One avenue investigates whether enhancing slow-wave activity through sound stimulation, light exposure, or pharmacological means might help older adults retain the restorative power of sleep. Another focuses on the molecular markers of aging such as telomere length, mitochondrial health, and inflammatory signals and how these markers respond to sleep interventions. Even in healthy young adults, chronic sleep restriction accelerates biological aging. It increases systemic inflammation, disrupts glucose metabolism, and impairs vascular function. Reversing these effects through structured sleep protocols could form part of a new strategy in preventive medicine. Technological innovation is also playing a central role. Advanced neuroimaging now allows scientists to observe the sleeping brain in exquisite detail. Electroencephalography, or EEG, measures patterns of brainwaves, helping to map sleep stages and detect abnormalities. Portable sleep monitors and smart mattresses are making this information accessible outside clinical settings, creating a new landscape of personalized sleep medicine. In parallel, artificial intelligence is being used to analyze massive datasets of sleep behavior, uncovering patterns that may predict disease risk, guide treatment, or identify early signs of decline. This integration of sleep science with digital health is building a bridge between the bedroom and the clinic. Yet, even with this growing body of research, one principle remains clear. Quality sleep cannot be replaced. No supplement, stimulant, or shortcut has yet replicated the complex physiological processes that unfold naturally each night. As we look forward, a shift in perspective is underway. Sleep is no longer seen as expendable. It is recognized as foundational, a pillar of health alongside nutrition, movement, and connection. In medical education, sleep science is gaining emphasis. In public health, campaigns are emerging to promote healthy sleep habits. In workplace policy, the value of rest is being acknowledged through flexible schedules and wellness initiatives. Sleep, once regarded as idle time, is being restored to its rightful place as a cornerstone of vitality, longevity, and resilience. What will we unlock next? Perhaps new treatments for insomnia that work with, rather than against, the natural sleep cycle. Perhaps interventions that use sound, temperature, or light to guide the brain into deeper rest. Perhaps a day when understanding sleep becomes as routine as taking a blood pressure reading or checking blood sugar. Sleep is the oldest medicine, and in its silent rhythm lies the future of health. Consider this: every night, without ceremony or spectacle, the human body performs one of its most extraordinary acts. As you lie still, eyes closed, and consciousness retreating, an entire orchestra of internal processes comes to life, synchronized, silent, and profoundly vital. Sleep is often mistaken for inactivity, yet nothing could be further from the truth. Behind the closed curtain of your eyelids, the body does not power down. It heals, it stores, it builds. Sleep is not a void, is a bridge. linking the wear of the day to the promise of renewal. When we fall asleep, we enter a sequence of carefully staged phases. Light sleep allows the brain to begin disengaging. Heart rate slows, body temperature drops, breathing becomes rhythmic. In this initial stage, the nervous system begins its descent into restoration. Soon, we slip into deeper sleep. Delta waves, slow, high-amplitude brain waves begin to dominate. These are the waves of physical repair. During this time, growth hormone is released. Damaged tissues begin to mend. Cellular waste is cleared. The immune system reinforces its defenses, scanning and remembering, preparing for future threats. In the liver, enzymes regulate cholesterol. In the gut, the microbiome shifts its balance, engaging in symbiotic work that supports digestion, mood, and immunity. Then comes REM sleep, paradoxical in nature. REMO, rapid eye movement mirrors, wakefulness in brain activity, while the body remains in muscular stillness. Here, the mind dreams. Synapses are strengthened. Emotions are cataloged. Lessons are encoded. Creativity flourishes. REM sleep is the theater where memory is sculpted into meaning. Each night, this cycle-light sleep, deep sleep, REM repeats several times, with varying proportions as morning approaches. Each stage has its purpose, its moment in the choreography of rest. Like seasons cycling through the night, they bring balance to the body and order to the mind. What emerges from this quiet architecture is more than repair. It defines our capacity to think clearly, to learn new skills, to regulate emotions, and to connect meaningfully with others. A single night of rest can sharpen focus. A week of poor sleep can erode cognition and resilience. Sleep is not merely for recovery. It is a form of continuity. Through it, we carry the lessons of yesterday into the promise of tomorrow. We integrate memories. We release stress. We calibrate hormones that influence hunger, growth, and fertility. We maintain the integrity of the cardiovascular system, modulate inflammation. Even the most subtle biological rhythms depend on sleep. The pineal gland, a tiny structure deep within the brain, releases melatonin in response to darkness. This hormone does not induce sleep directly, but it signals the body to prepare for night. It is part of a larger system known as the circadian rhythm, 24-hour cycle that governs not only sleep, but core body temperature, hormone release, and metabolic rate. Disrupting this rhythm, even slightly, can reverberate through the system. Shift work, jet lag, and blue light exposure from screens can shift the body's internal clock. The modern world presents a challenge to this ancient rhythm, but awareness of this pattern allows us to adapt thoughtfully. Practices such as dimming lights in the evening, maintaining consistent bedtimes, and limiting stimulant use can help. Align the external environment with the internal clock. Regardless of age, background, or belief, we all need sleep. It is a biological imperative shared by every mammal, bird, and reptile. Even fish display rhythmic periods of reduced activity that resemble sleep. It is one of the oldest evolutionary strategies for survival and repair, and yet sleep remains deeply personal. Others reach peak alertness as the day ends. Understanding one's own rhythm, known as a chronotype, can allow for more harmonious planning of work, study, and rest. Modern science continues to uncover the layers of sleep's complexity. We now know that different regions of the brain can experience different sleep depths at the same time. In some marine mammals and migratory birds, one hemisphere sleeps while the other remains awake, allowing movement and vigilance to continue during rest. This phenomenon, called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, reveals the astonishing adaptability of the sleeping brain. But even in humans, sleep is not binary. It is a continuum, fluid, responsive, and exquisitely sensitive to the needs of the body and mind. It adapts to illness, responds to trauma, and deepens in response to sleep deprivation. It is both fragile and resilient. And so, as we approach the conclusion of this exploration, one truth remains. Sleep is not the absence of wakefulness. It is its silent partner. It is the foundation upon which health is built and sustained. When we close our eyes at the end of a day, we do not shut off the world. We open the door to its deepest mechanisms of repair and renewal. Let us return then to the beginning. Each cell, each circuit, each system driven by time, nourished by rhythm, shaped by sleep. Sleep binds the physiology of life into a coherent, thriving whole. The next time you lay your head upon the pillow, consider what unfolds in that moment. A process older than language, deeper than thought, begins to stir. The body prepares. The breath slows. The world narrows to stillness. And in that stillness, a quiet revolution begins, because sleep is not an end. It is the beginning.